Are we on? 'Tis the season to buy plastic. Tra la 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 la. How's the sound? Sound check, mic check. Hello everyone in the chat. Good to see you here. Hello everyone watching this later as a VOD. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. The greatest war gamer on the planet. The winner of the 2021 No Retreat. Sweet, it's all good. No Retreat. Legend of Legends is here. Hi. I'm glad you're here with me. Hi. Sounding is great. Brett Parsons, Mick the Machine, Andy H, Epic Votan, John Price, Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, Mick the Machine. I've mentioned Mick the Machine, Alfie Taylor, Sam Shassar Hesketh. Hello, thank you for joining the chat. I'm glad you're all here this evening. Is everyone ready for Christmas? And if you are ready for Christmas, what kind of plastic crack are you buying? Or what is on your Christmas list for plastic crack? What is the thing that you're getting? What is the thing that you've asked Santa for? Have you been good or bad? Currently 19 days straight not buying any plastic crack. Mick, 19 days clean. Cheers. Well done. Break that nasty habit. It's bad for you, you know. So you're just not buying anything. You've got yourself an Age of Darkness and some heavy weapons. So you're stepping into heresy, Sam. It's nice. Age of Darkness with a heavy weapon kit. So you're automatically going to do like the 10 las cannon heavy weapon team, right? You bought the Cadia Stands box. All bolt action this Christmas while my eldest still has his staff discount. I hear good things about bolt action. I do hear good things about bolt action. Mr. AP Burn is a big bolt action plan. Daniel is currently trying to save an old Land Raider he bought off eBay, making a bad job of it. I won't swear. I won't swear this earlier into the algorithm. You got to because YouTube it knows things. You've got to wait a little while before you start swearing into the algorithm. Yeah, so you're trying, okay, but that's not buying something old off eBay and turning it into something that isn't bad. Is that a Christmas thing? Is it a Christmas? It doesn't feel like a Christmas thing. It doesn't feel like anyone is getting you anything or you're getting someone else anything. It feels like you're recycling, which is good, you know, very, very good for you. Your last, Mick the Machine bought Chewie's Black Legion. Did you buy the whole Black Legion on eBay? That's amazing if you did, by the way. You've got Chewie's Black Legion. That's a piece of Winter's SEO history there, let alone a piece of Chewie's old history. Andy H says AP Burn is responsible for his bolt action purchases. Many, many purchases. Andy H is responsible for many, many people bolt action purposes and Dreadfleet Gothic and weird Sharp and weird Second World War things. You bought the job lot. Nice. Yeah. That's why you wanted them. A piece of history to get Chewie's Black Legion. It was, you know, he's moved on now. He's gone from one screaming band of lunatics, Chewie, to another screaming band of lunatics called the Sisters of Silence. In the meantime, he's playing his son's tower a little bit, which is, I could ask you a question actually, because I've got a couple of battle reports ready to go, and one goes up tomorrow on Wednesdays, the Winters Wednesdays battle report, and one goes up on Sunday. But tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to put up tomorrow for members. So maybe you could help me out here. You just got the good and the bad gobbo today. Are the gobbos out? I've got a couple of gobbos here. I don't know if I'm supposed to show them or something. I don't know what the embargo date on gobbos is. Is like the embargo date on the season's gobbos. Is that over? I mean, what do I do with gobbos? Is it over? What ones are out? I can find one. Is that another one? I can find two. What do I do with gobbos? Yeah, so a couple of battle reports. What do I put up on Wednesday, chat? I need you to help me. Mick the Machine gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Mick the Machine. I really, really appreciate you. You absolute legend. Thank you for your Christmas gift. I appreciate you. Everyone, a warm round of applause for Mick the Machine. A warm hand on his entrance for gifting some memberships across the things. If you have received a gifted membership, that is a tier 2 gifted membership, which gives you the custard emojis to show your loyalty, and it also gives you access to the Discord. When you jump into the Discord, don't be afraid to say hello to everyone. They're ruthlessly kind and will want to hear all about your hobby and your hobby stuff. To increase that to tier 3 membership, which will give you an extra battle report every single Winters Wednesday, it will just cost you £1 more. Winters, are you worried that the end of the death could be the death, or do you think it would be a worthy end? Both. Adrian, thank you for your 23 months. Legend. Thanks for thanks for all you do to make the community great. I try. I just try to share my hobby journey with you guys out there, and I'm just amazed that some people are choosing to follow this hobby journey with me still. Some of you were even here before the DZ days. Many of you joined the DZ days. Now we're late in the year, and the DZ days have died, and we're going off on our own, trying to climb some mountains. It's Lonesome Guardsman, thank you for joining the tier 13th, tier 1. Thank you for your tier 1 membership. That's your custom badges and things. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining the 13th Fleet. Yeah, it's been a long old weird year. I had a dream, which was to do Warhammer 40k full time, and DZ helped me get there. And then we had another dream with DZ, and we didn't achieve that other dream. We went in our separate directions, but at least I achieved the first dream. I'm just so lucky to do my hobby full time and share it with you. So thank you for thanking me for all I do to make the community great. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys helping me and choosing to follow me on this hobby journey. It's weird, isn't it? It's like I'm old. It's just like, if they had asked me in school, hey, do you want to be a YouTuber when you grow up? There was no YouTube back then. Taking a pivot at such a late in my life and doing this full time, I'm just blessed, and I didn't see it coming, and I thank you all. I do get parched. You might be able to see, like, there's quite a few on this side here. I had a nap this afternoon. That's how old I am, and I've still got the pillow lines in the side of my face from napping. And the little pussy, my pussy was all curled up next against you. We have Snaky XLL Snake 9 months. Thank you for your 9 months. Found you during the COVID days. Love the content ever since. Keep it up. Appreciate you. I won't be playing a role in the next Amazon movie anymore. And do you think you'll make any more lore videos for your armies? At some point, yes, but no plans at this time. What am I hoping for this Christmas? Evening, CJ. What am I hoping for this Christmas? I'm not. I get a lot of stuff. And I get a lot of stuff painted for me by Den, Imagination Painting Studios, and I get a lot of stuff from Games Workshop because, of that. So they're happy to send me some things. It's honestly, I'm more like batting people away from giving me things rather than getting extra things, because up here, I rearranged my things. I got a big delivery, look, because the Iron Hands are my project for 2024, right? So I got a massive delivery of bases and things. That's for all the Iron Hands, and that's from marchofwar.co.uk. And then, no, beer would be. And then I asked him to make lots of like conversion bits that I could use for the Iron Hands. And at Den of March of War, he probably sells this stuff already, like conversion kits for things. Because I want my Iron Hands to look really Iron Handsy. So what I'm doing for Christmas, so I've done some. I did a few. See, like with the bionic leg and things. I've done a few with his googly eyes. I can't make that work. And these are just tactical marines. I want to make sure that the Iron Hands tactical marines look really weird and things. So I've gone for all the craggy shoulder pads, as you can see. And he did like backpacks where you could stick different arms on. And anyway, hit a March of War from conversion bits like that. The idea is that not one of the tactical marines will look like a normal tactical marines. They'll all have bits hanging off of them and bionics and things and special shoulder pads and things, you know. You'd love a Winter's Room Studio House tour. I've done a couple in the past. What's the one new Orc model you would wish for the new Codex next year? One new Orc model for the Codex next year. That's a good question. A new one. Something newish. A new thing. My brain goes to shock attack gun variants. I like the mechanics behind the shock attack gun. It'd be nice if there was a plastic shock attack gun variant. Like you could buy a thing and it's not a HQ anymore. It's like an elite slot or a heavy slot or a whatever. We don't have those slots anymore. What am I talking about? But it's a thing in a box and it comes with two different gun variants. And it's the shock attack gun or the squig attack gun or something. And you can bring 3 of them. That would be great. Something that has a bit of mania. Something that has some random element to it. Something that's just as likely to blow up in the Orc's face than it is to actually injure opponents. That's the kind of thing I would like to see. What would you like to see in the new Orc Codex next year? There are plans for a combat school. There are plans for a combat school. Oh yes, that will be probably the next campaign that I do. We will be returning to combat school in 2024. Does your base guy do special orders? I need some custom scenic set of bases for my Black Legion. The Eternal Crusader, if you go to March of War and email him and ask him for things, he can, he's a very, very talented guy. Like the statue that he made me, which he now sells, he invented that, made it, and put it on the buildings that he does that he now sells. And some of the bits here, he made some ruins for me, which are called not urban rubble. They're called besieged ruins bases. And I was like, I need some besieged ruin bases to represent Isfahan 3. And he just invented them. And now they're for... So basically, my whimsies, I hit up James and say, James, I need this. And he go, all right, here it is, I have this. Or he says, no, I can make it for you. And then he makes it for me, and then it appears on the channel and appears on his website. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Thank you. The posters on the wall, all posters from the Horus Heresy thing. How many stinkers are in the Horus Heresy books? Ooh, absolute stinkers. I'd say that there's at least 3. One being the Damnation of Pythos, is that what it's called? The other one being the big ship one. Someone will know the one that's the really big ship. I've even forgotten what the really big ship one is called. And then the last one, though a number of Chaos people I've spoken to actually like this book, whereas nearly every single one... Okay, so there's 2 really big stinkers. The one with a really big book, Battle of the Abyss, thank you, Rottenbeard. And the Damnation of Pythos, I think it's called. And then the last one, which I think is a really big stinker, which probably isn't a really big stinker, because there's a number of Chaos people who love Chaos and have read it and said it's really good, and that one is Slaves to Darkness, which I think sucks balls, but some people love that one. Is your narrative bunny completely squirrel by hook? No, my narrative bunny is everywhere. Yeah, so your dream, an Orc unit, is either Da Mechlord or Nazdreg. You want them to make a good Orc Boys kit that isn't monopose, mono loadout. Well, we've got 2 types of Orc Boys now, right? You've got the old Orc Boys, which I'm sure will get faded out at some point. And then you've got the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Alt Boys, the Snag, I forget what they're called, the bigger ones. So there's 2 actual troop kits for boys now, which is pretty good, along with the Grots. So, what edition do you miss the most or enjoyed the most so far? Editions come, editions go. Every time an edition changes, there are rules that we like, and there are rules that we don't like, and there are things that we regret that aren't in there anymore, and we never go backwards. It just changes, and then it changes again. In 3 years' time, it changes again, and we have a new edition with some changes again. And some editions are better than others, some editions are worse than others. But I think the whole internet has agreed that early 8th edition is peak 40k, was peak 40k. It was simple, it was accessible, it had massive variety in it. The tournament scene results were as close could be. This, of course, was before Games Workshop had a tournament rule pack, because the tournament scene will sort themselves out regardless whether Games Workshop do or not, which is one of my big gripes with their match play stuff right now, because you've got the Leviathan card deck, and the Leviathan card deck is what the tournament players play at tournaments. So the basic way to play the game is the tournament rule set, which is annoying. The basic way to play the game should have casuals and new starters and casuals in mind. It should have the widest possible audience in mind and the widest possible net, and there should be more than one base way of playing Warhammer 40k in the main rulebook, because there is only one base game, only one base mission set. And then tournament play should be an add-on pack with restrictions and with various missions for them. And that's kind of how it was unofficially before Games Workshop did it at the start of 8th. And 8th, I think we can agree, was peak Warhammer 40k. It was easier and it was fun and it was good. That's what I think. Beast Snagger Boys, yes. Army new project next year. Iron Hands. Would you prefer the redacted faction as an existing faction, e.g. Dark Mech, Noise Marines, or something new? I think Dark Mech needs to come. I think Eldar Exodites need to come, and I think a new Xenos needs to come as well. A whole new Xenos faction. Did a short on it, did a few other things on it, like an army where everything's around Screamer Killer size or Dreadnought size, or maybe a bit smaller than that, and an army where everything is like the smallest units, the smallest models are about 100 points. It'll be a very good starter, like an army of trolls or space trolls or cyborgs or something where you only need about 20 or 30 models. It'd be a really good starter army. It would look really cool on the tabletop. A brand new Xenos army. You know, if the lowest thing is about 100 points, at a 2,000 point army, you'd only need about 20 models running around with guns and things and different sizes, but a chunky force, a unit full of chaos, like a chaos obliterator sizes. Obliterators have got some funky rules to them. Units that look like that. And the new faction that they brought out was Leagues of Votann, and it had tiny models in it, which are so cute. And not Terminators, not Berserkers, not Devastators, not Hekaspank, not Land Raiders. It wasn't a new thing. They blew it, didn't they? They blew it. It was a whole new faction, but it didn't feel that new. It felt newish, but also more of the same. Is the audio quiet? Is the audio quiet? Does the audio sound quiet? It's actually going through the microphone. I did the audio this time. Don't come in here telling me about audio when I didn't screw it up this time. You know what I mean? Upscale Grey Knights are coming. Primaris Grey Knights will come. I have no information on this, but they will come. Audio sounds fine. Hi, George. Audio sounds fine. Space Cats. Did they blow Votann because it was more of the same, because they made the aesthetic bland? I think they blew Votann because they were trying to play it safe. I think, well, they've gone backwards in their forwards, haven't they? Like they've gone forward, like Death Guard came out, Custodes came out, Sisters came out. There was a couple of factions that came out which are part of the old law. So they were obviously thinking, well, look, these are Votan. That's part of the old law. We'll bring them out as well. And so they brought them out because they were looking backwards to look forwards. And this is part of their old legacy. So let's bring them out. And then they did some really good lore with them. The Leagues of Votan lore is interesting. Where have they been? Galactic Center can't get there. The Votan thing, these AI chips can't get there. They're actually abhuman, a species, a subspecies cut off from way back in our primordial history, sci-fi history, way back in our expansionist history. Maybe they have more right to rule the galaxy than the Imperium of Man. Maybe they're more human, particularly when you look at Space Marines and when you look at the Mechanicum. Maybe they're more human than us. But they played it safe. By adding that gorgeous lore in there, that opened up the opportunity for them to put in cool AI creatures as well. And yeah, I think there could have been some cooler stuff. If they were to do another Xenos, I would love something less humanoid and more cosmic horror like the Tyranids. Exactly, Liam. Thank you for your 9 months. Yes, definitely. Another Xenos faction would be epic. Something horrific would be epic, and something that would be easy to collect and build and be different would be a Xenos faction where the minimum unit cost for a model is about 100 points or 80 points, 120. It's around there, where their smallest things are quite chunky. And then their larger things are 200, 300 points, are quite chunky. An army of toughness 7, toughness 8 things with guns and razor blades and laser beams strapped to the side of their head. Very horrifying. A new threat. It doesn't even have to be a new threat like Necrons or Tyranids. It can be a thing like the Tau, like there's the tower over there, and they're doing fine because the Imperium just don't got time for this right now. There's so much other stuff going on. That's my American, by the way. The Americans will know what I'm talking about. The English might require translation. And then over in another corner of the galaxy, there could be this ancient threat, the Blurg. And now they're growing, but the Imperium ain't got time for this because there's too much stuff. You know what I mean? Squirrels in space would work. In space would work. Rombeard, sorry for peppering questions. I missed every live stream except for the first one. I mean, the bugs from Planet Murder sounds like a nice idea. Arachnid, so a spider race of big things, that sounds like a nice idea. I wonder how. See, another idea that I've had, which I think they could do quite well, is they could release, I've mentioned this before, like Codex Mercenaries, and in Codex Mercenaries they could have you could put your assassins in there and the Inquisition, or Codex extras. Codex, not mercenaries, but Codex other bits. And and it could be a launching ground. Like you could put some Kroot stuff in there, and then you can attach it to any Kroot things. You can put some Inquisition and sniper stuff in there, and you can attach it to any Imperium stuff. You could introduce a new race in there, which you could attach as a 25% unit, just like demons, to anything else, like a mercenary race, and another type of. And you could use that book with these miniature ranges of 4 or 5 things in each, and they could be allies here, there, and everywhere. Codex allies, call it that. And the ones that are super successful, then they know, aha, well, we're selling loads of the Blurg from Codex allies, and people are using them as allies. All of that's a successful thing. Let's give them a full Codex release. I mean, why don't they do that? They could put the Eldar Exodites in there and some Dark Mech in there now, and just find out how popular Dark Mech is. Find out how popular Exodites are right now, you know? Yeah. You recently listened to the Brotherhood of the Snake book and got really excited. The Brotherhood of the Snake book is fantastic. It was Dan Abbott's first attempt at writing Space Marines, and it is good. And the Brotherhood of the Snakes are still around, and they're in Salvation's Reach as well, Gaunt's Coasts. Any thoughts on more AOS? No. I've had no more thoughts on AOS whatsoever since I did that video. I completely forgot what AOS stands for. I have thought quite a bit about the old world, though, and are very interested to see what model ranges and what the rules are and what the funk is for all that sort of old world stuff. Being an old person, I would like to see the old world, please. Show me the baby. James Workshop did mention Codex Zotes. Exactly. You see? Codex Zotes. So we could have Codex Allies. Or you don't even have to call it Codex Allies. Just call it Allies of the Dark Age. And in it, put your Inquisition, put your snipers, put your... Not snipers, but your assassins. Then put a Xenos faction in it. Then put some Dark Mech in it. Then put some Eldar Exodites in it. And if you have X Codex, you can add the Exodites up to 25%, and that could be Harlequin. If you have X Codex, and it could list the codex, like if you have Votann, Tau, Imperium, then you can add this force in with, but may not be added to Black Templars or something. Add this force in for the others. You know what I mean? Age of Squig. The only fantasy faction that doesn't have a 40k equivalent is Skaven. The Harad are the Skaven equivalents of the 40k universe in the sense that that's where it started. The Skaven faction transmuted into the Harad faction, but the Harad faction are now nothing at all like the Skaven. So take it back. The Harad were the Skaven, but now the Harad are their own thing. See, the Harad, they could release them. They're still everywhere, and they're mentioned in very many source books. The Harad are an interesting faction. As they live underground, they're a tunneling species. They are an exoplanetary. They do live across different planets, and they do spread like a plague. And their big thing in the lore is they use radiation weaponry. Lots of radiation, lots of Barbok Dantiok. He was hit by some of they use, and the radiation, it can age you, it can turn you. There's some interesting things they could do with the Harad. I wish they would revive Battlefleet Gothic. I think they'll get there in the end. They've done Legion Imperialis, the wrong game at the wrong time. It's only Heresy, and it's just after a launch of 40k. Maybe if it wasn't only Heresy and it wasn't just after a 40k launch, it would be more successful. So they've done Epic. See, the thing is, I don't think Epic has been as successful as they hoped Epic would be. I don't hear a lot of chatter about it. There is chatter about it. Some people are very excited for it. But there's not like an avalanche of YouTube videos on it and an avalanche of people in my Discord chatting about it. There are some. But the wrong game at the wrong time, I think. So because that isn't as successful as it could be, they're probably going to get all the Games Workshop employees who helped design that game in a room together and then show them a video of them crushing the extra stock, which they've done in the past, by the way. Imagine getting all your teams together in a room and saying, hey, we didn't sell a lot of this. Here's a video of us crushing it. Great motivation, Games Workshop. They did that. And because Little Legions isn't going to be as successful as it could have been, because they released the wrong game at the wrong time. Look, my cat fur from Ryle Against Me. Pussy fur. They might not move on to Battlefield Gothic, because I would say it'd be a surefire thing. I would have been a surefire thing, but Little Legions is going to be little. Or at the moment it is little. Or maybe it'll be one of those slow burners that builds into something bigger, like Heresy has been. Heresy seems to be building into something. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? If Epic was Space Marine rather than Epic, I would have bought it. Exactly. So there's one person right there. 40k Blood Bowl. 40k Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl, do they need to do a 40k version of Blood Bowl? Because I'll have you know that Blood Bowl is very successful. There is a big Blood Bowl community out there. It is still supported by new models from Forge World that doesn't exist anymore. It's still supported by a new rules pack. It's got a living... The Blood Bowl scene is actually quite large. There's a lot of people out there still playing that game. It's very, very popular. And it's a very good game, and you should play it too if you've got time to learn a whole new game. Blood Bowl is fun. Mini Wargaming was saying that the game is fun but doesn't fit well for battle reports, whatever that means. Legion Imperialis doesn't fit well for battle reports. Interesting. I filmed 2 or 3 games of Adeptus Titanicus and didn't film much more because it didn't fit well with filming as well, the Adeptus Titanicus. So, for example, when you're trying to film that game, there's a couple of things that are happening at the same time. It's you go, I go, you go, I go, not your turn, my turn. So it's you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, I go. So it's hard to kind of develop a narrative. Whereas if someone plays a turn and another person plays a turn, it's easier to explain. And the other thing, as well as pointing the camera at all the stuff that's happening on the table, you've got the cards with their shields and the damage of the Titans, and you need to keep going down to these cards throughout the game as well to show you the degradation and what's going on with the god engines. So filming you go, I go, plus going down to the card you go, and then I found it break my brain. It break my brain. I'm not sure how well the Adeptus Titanicus videos came across on video. And I wonder if the Legion Imperialis is a you go, I go as well. So it might not rank the best content. Friendly neighborhood in Costa. Yeah, one of my local stores is a Blood Bowl league of like 8 people. Exactly. The Blood Bowl, was it Heresy? Brighton is now in Embers in your area. Interesting. I think the overall trend is in the other direction. Your father's got some Blood Bowl mini. Yeah, I don't buy Aeronautica because my faction wasn't in it. Didn't buy Titanicus because my faction isn't in it. Didn't buy Epic because my faction isn't in it. If Gothic doesn't have yeah. So that's what I mean. If Legion Imperialis was Epic, then it would be more likely that your faction, like Eldar, they had an Eldar release with the original Titanicus pretty shortly after the Titanicus box came out. I think Eldar was the first release. And then the Orcs. So those factions definitely won't be coming. The Adeptus Titanicus rule set is good. I know our Lord and Savior Luton plays it quite a lot. And Titanicus is a good game to play. It's a good game to play. You're managing the power output of your Titan, and that mechanic works well. Like diverting powers to shields, diverting power to guns, and as you get injured, there's less stuff that you can do. And the damage can be overwhelming and cripplingly bad at the end, and the explosions are always good fun. So it's a power management system, and that also dictates how far you can move, how far you can turn, and how many guns you can bring to bear. So if you stand still and don't turn, you can fire a lot of stuff. If you want to turn, shoot, you can fire less stuff, but you can overtax the reactor. So it's got that power management, that risk-reward system built in to the God engines on its own, which is a good system in itself. And then I felt very much like it was 40k chess, because you move a piece and your opponent moves a piece, and you move a piece, and you're moving pieces over here on the right, hoping they really don't see the trap that you set on the left. And it actually works as a good system. Not the greatest thing to film. And maybe those rules could be trimmed a bit as well, so that game is a bit more accessible for people. Mind you, they did do the right thing in that, though. They hit the rules. Here was the rules. And then there's an advanced rules section. And it literally says, once you've got the hang of the basic rules, here's some advanced rules. And in the advanced rules, that's where things spice up and get even more narrative, because the machine, your engine, could wake up and rebel against some of the actions that you were doing with it. So when you were trying to overtax the reactor, you had to make a roll on I forget the name, but it's like does your engine not shoot? Does your engine overshoot? What was the rule in it? It was good. It was a nice, anyway, they had that in it. It's nice. It's a good rule set. Yeah. I bought the starter set for Blood Bowl in 2021. Great fun. Can highly recommend. Blood Bowl is a popular game. Necromunda and Blood Bowl, and Warcry are 3 very popular games. They are still supported. They still have a large community. You can tell where a game isn't as popular as the other games because Games Workshop will stop supporting it. But we had some Warcry updates only recently. We've got some new Necromunda stuff recently, or new Necromunda stuff coming soon that they've announced. That tells you that that game is popular. That someone, Games Workshop, are like, you, Timmy, you got to write the new book on this stuff and come up with a whole new faction and add some more. They're putting time to one side to they're popular, those games. They're popular, and Battlefleet Gothic wasn't as popular. But maybe if they did it again, it would be popular again, because the landscape has changed a little bit from where it was a number of years ago. Games Workshop were in a much worse place before 8th edition than where they are now. They didn't want to burn down the old world. They had to burn down the old world. Andy, thank you. Have a mince pie on me. Mince pies or Christmas puddings. I'm not a fan of fruit. I mean, thank you for the $4.99. I appreciate you, but do I have to have a mince pie? I'm not a fan of fruit at all, really. I'll eat an apple or an orange, but why put it in my pie or on my pizza or inside a pudding? Why do that? Why spoil a perfectly nice pie by putting some mince in it, some fruit in it? Or, why not in your pie? There's two types. There's the savory or sweet. In the savory pie, you got your chicken and your stuff, or your steak and kidney. And in your sweet pie, you've got like your custard and things. It can be a meat pie. Okay, fine. It's cool. Fray Bentos, it is. Who doesn't like a Fray Bentos? Nuclear proof, You can leave them in a pantry for like 10 years, dig them out, eat them. You'll be fine, honestly. This is not health advice. Tomato of Doom. Hey, Winters, I just nominated you as my personal Warhammer hero. Thank you so much. I mean, that puts a big smile on my face, knowing that people have nominated me as a Warhammer hero. Dear. The people who win that have done lots of charity stuff. Mind you, back in 2021, when we did the No Retreat Legend of Legends things, which we raised £26,000 for mental health charities that year. That was my annus horribilis when I was going through some real dark times there. So it was nice to put something back into the world. But hobby heroes. Thank you. They're never going to give it to a content creator. They're never going to give it to one of us. I mean, even if Lawrence or someone from Play on Tabletop gets 100,000 votes or something, they won't. They've had enough of us as it is. Meat and fruit, best combo. No, meat and fruit is not the best combo. No. Mince pies, the real controversy in 40k. No mince pies. Do we like mince pies? Mince pies are not fruit, so it's fine. Are they not? What? The mince in the mince pies is a fruity thing. It's a fruity pie, isn't it? They were fruit. James Gascoigne would never trust a 40k mince pie. I've seen some of the mince pies are fruit, surely. Pork and apple sausages. Now, it's pork and apple sausages. The sausage. I mean, you can't really taste the apple in a pork and apple sausage, can you? But a pork and apple sausage, that's top tier, that is. Who doesn't like a pork and apple sausage? More sugar than fruit by the time they get in the pie. Mince pies are misleading. Where's the mince? Exactly. It's fruit. Surely. It's like a fruit mix, right? All I know is mince pies, I mean, they're okay. They're mid-tier, aren't they? That's why, I mean, if mince pies were top tier, there'd be, people wouldn't nom them all year round, right? Like hobnobs. But they're not. They're just one of these things that rolls around at Christmas. The best thing about Christmas is after Christmas, as soon as January hits, they start putting mini eggs in the stores again. And this is a food stuff that shouldn't be there just at seasonal times. Mini eggs should be there. I have a problem with mini eggs, yo. I will go through them. I've choked on a mini egg before, and I'll choke on one again. Like proper choke. And I loved it. I don't mind choking on... Yeah, we don't mind choking on a few things, and a mini egg is one of them. Eating dead fruit in a pie versus worshipping the dead emperor. I'm just saying. The emperor isn't dead, so you're wrong there, James Gascoigne. Okay, he's not dead. He's just lying down. He's having a bit of a nap, and he's protecting the entire Imperium by withstanding 10,000 years of pain by strapping himself into a pain engine. He's a goddamn hero. You should be worshipping his ass. Slow cooked curry beef pie. Yes, you're eating a slow cooked curry beef pie. Oh, that. I can smell it. I can smell it from here. A Scotch pie is a mince in pastry. No, Scotch pie. I don't even know what Scotch pie is. Is that a Scotland thing? I mean, they eat haggis up there, and that should be illegal. To make it even more confusing, they call the jar of fruit you now use to make the mince meat. They do, don't they? The jar of fruit for the mince pie to cream eggs. See, cream eggs again are one of those mid-tier ones. You say they're awesome, the bobbins, but are they really? I think there's a limit to the amount of cream eggs you can have. I remember distinctly going off cream eggs. Probably OD'd. I probably overdid. I probably had one cream egg too many. Also, you can happily choke on a mini egg and not kill yourself. But if you choked on a cream egg, you could probably kill yourself. So there's inherent dangers with the mini egg, you know. Scotch pie is a boiled egg wrap. Oh yeah, the Scotch Scotch egg. I remember now. Scotch pie, boiled egg with the pastry, with the crumbs. Deep fried? What are you talking about? Don't have it deep fried. You just get the Scotch egg. Does it in the pay? Sorry about this, Americans, but Scotch eggs are lovely. We like Scotch eggs. Scotch eggs are good, particularly with a bit of Branston pickle and some like carrots and cucumbers and leaves and cheese on your ploughman's lunch. You know, Scotch egg with your ploughman and a hunk of crusty OG bread. You know, and a hunk of butter. Scotch eggs. Okay, they're top tier. We can go with S tier with Scotch eggs. We're down with them. But mince pies, mid tier. Cream eggs, mid tier. Mini eggs, top tier. Here's a tip with a mini egg. What you want to do is try and eat off all the crispy bit all around the outside and not touch any of the chocolate underneath. How to enjoy a small pack of mini eggs so you feel like you're eating a big pack of mini eggs for longer. Make that food last as long as you can. Chip away at each bit of the crispy shell and eat the crispy shell first and then have the chocolate. That's a Scotch egg, not a Scotch pie. Two different things. Well, okay, Scotch egg. What is a Scotch pie? Is it meat, sheep's stomach stuff with meat and barley? And the only reason why that I know haggis is sheep's stomach stuff with meat and barley is because Connery told me in Highlander. Highlander's coming back, by the way. Short crust pie. Winters, you got me into 40k. I just started a guard army. Thanks for destroying my bank account. I'm terribly sorry, old bean. I'm terribly sorry, Yeah, sorry about your bank account. That's the problem with this hobby. It do be expensive. It do be a little bit expensive. Apple and pumpkin pie. Where is that in Winter's tier list? Apple and pumpkin pie. Now, I don't think I've ever tried apple and pumpkin pie because who's a fan of pumpkin? Really? There's a reason why we cut them open and throw away the guts and not actually eat that. No one's really a big fan of our pumpkins. The pumpkin industry were delighted that the American craze for pumpkins spread around the world because it wasn't a thing here when I was growing up, pumpkins, and it is a thing now. But I don't think I've tried it. However, I love food. I will put anything in my mouth. Anything. And I will I'll try food from anywhere, from any time, I will try that. So I can't exactly tell you where pumpkin is not a thing over here. Okay. Mini eggs rule. Mini eggs rule do. Rule do. Yellow mini eggs are the best. Is there a difference between the colour of the mini eggs? Is there really? I mean, I like my mini eggs. They've got to be one of my most favourite sweets. My favoritist. Got to be. You had a Scotch pie last week. It's brilliant. It's a wee pie. Right, here we go, Jig. Tell me about this, okay? A Scotch pie, apparently, people. Strap yourselves in, is a wee pie. Again, for the Americans out there, don't panic. That means small. That's Scottish language for small. They're lovely people. They're lovely. But they say things like wee pie, which is just rude. Anyway, with lamb or beef mince, so they can change their mind, it's going to be lamb or beef, in the shape of a shallow cylinder. So it's a lamb or beef mince pie. Okay. Well, if you cook that right with the nice pastry, with lots of gravy and your mashed potatoes and your other mashed potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in the stew, I'm sure that could, yeah. Mike Helm, I am not repeating that. Illinois is your home state, is the pumpkin capital of the world. Illinois has a lot to answer for. Because back when I was growing up, there weren't, I mean, we saw it, you guys in America, because you don't get holidays, right? They just work you forever. You know, you hate things like holidays and healthcare. So you get like half a day holiday a year. But so when you have your holidays, you go ham. Like your Halloween is like a big thing. And like, I don't know, birthday parties, a big thing. Invite the entire neighborhood. Christmas, you know, big thing. Over here, not so much, because, you know, we can chill every now and then throughout the year. So that big thing, and we see you doing these big things, and we see the pumpkins, and we see all the things, and we say, we'll have some of that. But really, pumpkins, they ain't all that, are they? They ain't all right. I tune in, and the first comment I say is Galaxy Minstrels. Yes, mate. Galaxy Minstrels. Man, Galaxy Minstrels or mini eggs? That's a tough question, because Galaxy chocolate is lush. It is difficult as well, because Galaxy Minstrel chocolate, the crispy shell to the Galaxy Minstrel is tougher than a mini egg. A mini egg, you can get all the shell off quite easily. But getting the shell off a Galaxy Minstrel while leaving the chocolate uninjured on the inside is tricky, and sometimes you end up snapping your minstrel in half. But Galaxy Minstrels, again, that's S tier, man. That is up there. Winters, after coming across your channel, I've restarted 40k after 20-year away, digging my Tau out from storage, and I'm in the process of repainting the Brutal Puppy. Welcome back to the hobby. Everyone give the Brutal Puppy a round of applause. My chat is a bit shit, by the way, the Brutal Puppy. I've said everyone give the Brutal Puppy a round of applause for re-entering the hobby. There'll probably be 2 round of applause that you're going to see. And Christian Kopang, thank you for your 11 months. I'm petitioning next live stream is a food tier list submitted to you via the Discord. We could do that. We could do a 4C2. Oh, you get more than... You're getting a few. Slow clap. Well done, chat. Well done. Oh, dear. Yeah, we could do that. I would need reminding to do a food Discord one. I mean, it's next Tuesday. Is that actually Christmas Day for the Talkie Tuesday? 19 plus 7, 26th. It will be Boxing Day. I will be on for Boxing Day. It will be a Talkie Tuesday. So we can talk about food. Thank you for welcoming the Brutal Puppy back to the chat, back to the hobby. After all you don't think you can see this chat? Why can't you see the chat? Of course you can see the chat. If you can write in the chat, you can see the chat. Flake or ripple? It's got to be a flake, isn't it? A ripple's a bit too much sometimes. It's got to be. Galaxy Caramel? No, Mick, too sickly. You've gone too far. Stuart Fields, I'm too old to know how to applaud on screen. They're called emojis. My mother-in-law, that's the start of a joke, but my mother-in-law, actually she's lovely. She learned emojis the kids are growing, the nieces and nephews, they're growing up, so they're using and abusing emojis. So she's discovered the power of emojis, like hand claps and thumbs ups and things like that. It's just delightful to see my wife getting annoyed every single time the mother-in-law puts an emoji into the chat with her daughter rather than actually telling her something. She gave me a thumbs up. Why did she give me a thumbs up? Because you asked her about the thing, so she's going click thumbs up. Yeah, but why can't she tell me about the thing? Well, she's learned a new skill, okay? She's like 60 odd. She's learnt emojis at that age. You don't learn very many new skills at all, really. Mainly it's about forgetting older skills that you had. Flake is well better than Twirl. It is. Flake is classic. Flake, Spyro, no. Flake is eternal. Flake 99. Flake on ice. Flake is nice. Do you remember those old Flake adverts from like the 90s of a woman devouring a flake? And then there'd be news headlines in the Daily Fail about, oh no, this is perverting the minds of children, because it was basically chocolate porn. It was. Do you remember those adverts? You could get away with that shit now. Flakes should only be eaten with an ice cream of cone. Yeah. I mean, that's not the only way to eat them, but flakes are top tier. Come on. I mean, the Spyra and the Twirl and the Ripple, all of these other confectionaries, they're just derivatives of the flake. The flake is the king. The flake stands above the other ones. The other ones are trying to imitate. The other ones are trying to steal its crown. But they never have. They never have. Stuart Fields is 12,000 miles away from a double-decker every day. It hurts. Where are you, Stuart? I could send you a double-decker. Tell me where you are. Are you in the Discord? And if you are in the Discord, tell me where you are and I will send you a goddamn double-decker. If there's a man that needs a Christmas miracle, it's Stuart Fields right now. But you probably won't get it before Christmas because Christmas melding, particularly if you're 12,000 miles away. And that sounds like the moon. Is a Cerastus Lancer auto-include when you take an Imperial Knights army? I think it is. Probably, yes. Yes. Yeah. Knights' one weakness, strangely, is close combat. Not because they can't put out a lot of damage, but because they can't take much back. Because they don't have an invulnerable save in close combat. So most things that are punching knights in close combat are things that can kill knights and tanks and big things. Pardon me, with big fists. So the fact that it's just got a flat 4-up invulnerable save, it's got a flat 25 wounds. The Knight Lancer, the Knight Cerastus Lancer is probably the best pick. I mean, if you were running competitive knights, you're probably looking at starting an army with 2 of them and then adding on all the little ones, because you want to get up and probably is it 3 knights and little ones, or is it 2 knights and little ones? It's up there. Yes. Whisper is the best chocolate. Is it the best chocolate? What is the best chocolate? I mean, surely it's something like the best, the absolute. I mean, there's ones that I like, but the best chocolate. I mean, a nice bar of Galaxy, smooth Galaxy, that's nice. But mini eggs, man, we talked about minstrels, they're up there. A double-decker, again, I like ripping off the top bit and then getting to the crispy bit underneath, you know. My girlfriend is Scottish and she doesn't stop rattling about how great Iron Brew is. You have no idea what the American equivalent is. Lone Guardsman, you will not know. You will never know. Because Iron Brew is only available in Scotland. We can't even get it here. 8 damage on Lance is too much fun. I know. Before I loved the double decker, I loved the boost. The boost was good. The boost was very good. But the problem with the boost was, again, you'd mash that. See, here's the thing about a chocolate. Here's can I put this to the court, please? A truly great chocolate is one you can eat until you throw up. So you can eat your whole nut. Someone said whole nut chocolate. You can keep eating whole nut chocolate. You can keep going. There is no limit on the amount of whole nut you can eat. There's no limit on the amount of mini eggs you can eat. There's no limit on the amount of Ferrero Rocher you can eat. You can mash that. There's no limit on the amount of these you can mash. But a Whisper or a Bounty, these are great chocolates. But if you kept eating a Whisper or a Boost or a Bounty, there'd come a point where there was too much coconut. There would come a point where there was too much Boost in a sticky caramel Galaxy, for example. That's just too damn sweet. There'll come a point where you can't have any more caramel Galaxy. But you could keep eating your whole nut bar until you couldn't eat anymore. You could keep eating mini eggs until you couldn't eat anymore. You could keep eating Snickers until you couldn't eat anymore. But if you tried to shove down like Bounties, which are lush, there'd come a point where you'd have to stop before you were full because you'd probably throw up, you know? Kinder Bueno. Lion Bar. Lion Bar's a king. Again, I love dipping the Lion Bar in the tea, Jink. The Lion Bar in the tea and getting all the stuff off the crispy wafers on the inside. Can you see? I'm a food deconstructionist, people. I like spending time with my food. I like teasing it. I like having as much time with the food as possible and get all the chocolate off and get all the layers off. And then you flip it around and you hold the stodgy end that's been in your tea, but you've got all the layers, and then you dunk the other end off. And then you've got the wafer bit in the middle, and then you can deconstruct that down to... See? Oh. Maltesers defo count then. Yeah, exactly. Maltesers, you can mash them, boil them, stick them in a stew until you're absolutely stuffed and you won't throw up. Peanut M&Ms have to be included. I agree. Nothing should be dunked in tea. Dicky. There's tea and there's tea. There is the correct tea, Builder's Brew, milk 2 sugars, milking first. And then there are other teas. Now, go on a building site and tell a builder that he can't dunk nothing in his tea. See if you make it out of that building site alive, my friend. Things are allowed to be dunked in tea. The makers of the original tea, the OG tea, the only way tea should be drunk, have decreed it so. I rest my case. What about chocolates versus their ice cream? Don't get me started on ice cream, man. I love me ice cream. Jaffa cakes are cakes, kept in a biscuit tin. It gets people confused, but they're cakes and they're lovely. Can you eat Jaffa cakes until you're completely full and not throw up? I think I've probably done that a few times in my life, so the answer to that question is yes. Correct tea equals Yorkshire tea with 2 sugars. Milking first, and you can dunk stuff in it, of course. Milking first, that's heresy. It's not. It's the only way to establish consistency. We all agree that I'm correct in the milking first thing. We're going to move on. Jaffa cakes and a cup of Yorkshire Gold is about as good as it gets. It does, actually. A Jaffa cake, cup of tea, Yorkshire Gold, with a pussy on your lap, next to a fireplace. As good as it gets. Milk after. Milk in last. What? We'll move past that. The best chocolate can be eaten forever. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you're saying stuff is top tier chocolate, it's got to be chocolate that you can eat and eat, which is why I have a problem with cream eggs. There's only so much of that creamy goodness you can put down your throat before you throw up. Romantica ice cream is legendary. What's Romantica ice cream? Teabagging first, then hot water, then milk and sugar to taste. Can't believe I have to explain this to an Englishman. See, if you put the milk in last, how long has your tea been brewing for? So you could overbrew the tea and then you put your milk in and then you've got too much milk to tea ratio. If you underbrew your tea because you were a bit quick that day, you stir it up a bit quick and then you pour your milk in and then it's not as tea and the milk that you've put in is less because you haven't made as much brew in your brew because you haven't stirred it as much. If you put the milk in first, you'll always put the same amount of milk in all the time and then you put your water in and then you'll always mix it until it's around the same color every time. So you're achieving consistency. You can thank me later. I'm improving the world with my tea making technique. But you stick your milk in first. It's always the same size mug. It's always the same amount of milk. And you can make the perfect tea every single time the way you like your tea, with your milk to tea consistency ratios at 100%. None of this fly-by-wire Top Garden Maverick putting a splash of milk in afterwards and hoping your milk to tea ratio is correct. It just makes sense. See? Science, says Lone Guardsman. Science. And he's got a blue thing next to his face, which means he's been around for ages. He's got a blue emoji. Thank you for being a channel member. Love you. You're so wrong. I'm right. I'm the No Retreat 2021 Legend of Legends champions. I'm right. Milking first is for amateurs. No, you drink Earl Grey. Then you're drinking the wrong tea. Just made you put the kettle on. Gotta have him a brew. What's the best thing to pair with chocolate? Ice cream. I've heard bacon and chocolate are some people's faves. What? Chocolate, ice cream. Chocolate, cake. Chocolate goes with most things. Chocolate and peanut butter, no. What's the best thing to pair with chocolate? Well, all the confectionaries have done that. So a hard shell would be my answer. The Eternal Crusader, we don't, you brew the tea, then if it's too strong, you adjust. No. You see, that's the thing. You're saying you brew the tea, but if it's too strong, you adjust with milk or water. So you're having to make adjustments midway through your tea making process, and you're accusing me. You're accusing me of doing it wrong. If you put the milk in first, then there would never need to be any mid-tea adjustments to your milk to water ratio. You put your milk in, you pour the water in, you then it up, you stir it, your milk to water ratio, and the tea rate would be perfect. You're saving yourself precious seconds there making that tea that you're never going to get back. I mean, how many tea do we drink in our life? 1 billion? 200 billion? Quite a few teas. Let's say we make 1 million teas in our life easily. I'm going to say 10 million teas in our life because we make for other people as well. So you're making 10 million teas in your life, and you're saving 5 seconds every time you make a tea from adjusting 10 seconds, because you've got to adjust the milk to the thing. If you put the milk in first, you're saving 10 seconds every single time. So 10 seconds times 10 million is 100 million seconds that you're saving in your life. And math tells me that you've just earned yourself 7 years there. 7 years back for making better tea. You thank me later. Bacon and chocolate, that's just wrong. I know it is, right? Whiskey. You love Quavers with your dairy milk? What's the best thing with chocolate? Someone put a cup of tea. Exactly. A lovely cup of tea. A lovely cup of tea. What time are we at? We're at an hour. Yeah. Everyone ready for Christmas? What have you ordered for Christmas? What have you asked Santa for Christmas? What are you hoping to get? What are your hobby hopes and dreams? My hobby hopes and dreams is to continue doing this for another year with you wonderful people. Thank you for watching this video. And thank you for watching the VOD. If you're watching the thank you afterwards, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you'd like to support me, then consider becoming a channel member. If you become a Tier 3 channel member, you get an extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday. And you can buy some merch as well. That would really help out. So I'd love to be doing this in a year's time. Doing my hobby with you guys in a year's time. Ah, dear. You just want to wake up and your pile of shame is painted. Smash. I've got a question for you then. Actually, back at the beginning. So what are you thinking about your Christmas stuff? I've got a couple of videos that I can fire out tomorrow. One of them is a Necrons one again. And Chewie, because he got rid of his Black Legion, runs the Tau for the first time. He was the chosen one. He was supposed to unify the Force. And he runs Tau. It's just horrifying. So I take the Necrons out against that again, using the Canoptic thing, and we do that. Or I did one with Plant with his World Eaters versus Orcs. I feel like we've done Necrons a few times now. I feel like I should show you the World Eaters versus Necrons one. No, Orcs one tomorrow on the Winter's Wednesday. But the Chewie one was filmed earlier, so that should really come out first. before, because the one I did with Plant I only really filmed this weekend. And I'm filming tomorrow, and I'm filming the next day, and I'm filming the next day. Filming tomorrow with Sultan, filming the next day some Heresy, filming the day after that some Heresy as well, actually. Haven't played Heresy for about 3 weeks. Yeah, so do I do another Necrons video, or do I do the World Eaters one for the Chewie video? Love Chewie. We've got some Chewie votes in there. Yeah. You got a whole new anime coming for your birthday, Mike Heem. You're getting the new codex for Christmas. Nice. You like some AdMech battle reports for Christmas. You're not going to get them. I haven't even looked at that thing yet. I do need to look at the thing, get my head around the thing. Honestly, I'm enjoying the Necrons right now. I hadn't painted any Necrons for ages, and I smashed out 2 Annihilation Barges. And I want to play with my 2 Annihilation Barges, which are painted. And I have a list with 2 Annihilation Barges, 2 Doomsday Stalkers, 2 Doomsday Cannons, 2. Then I probably want 2 units of Scorpic Destroyers led by Lords charging forward. So I'm probably doing the reroll charges one, but I might just do the OG one where you get +1 to hit. Anyway, that type of list where I've got some punch going forward in these vehicles. So I want to do them. But I've played a lot of Necrons recently. It's all for Chewie. You want Chewie tomorrow. When do you do the tiny battle? I am filming the tiny battle on the 29th. So that's when I do the tiny battle. I am not playing the tiny battle. Brand new system, Brain Go Boom. Have roped in a couple of the unpaid interns that you see on the channel quite regularly, and they'll be fighting the tiny battle. I'll be filming the tiny battle as we laugh and smile and tug the hairs on our chin and try and figure out the new rule set and bang it into some kind of presentation. It is Monkey and Sultan, so I imagine there's going to be chaos ensuing when we do the tiny battle things. Monkey versus Sultan. I love it when there's a couple of people in a room and I'm filming, because 1, I get to play an awful lot, but 2, more people, more the merrier, and taking the mic and winding them up while they're taking the mic and winding each other up and rolling some dice and having a great time just after Christmas and eating all the leftovers. It's going to be epic. And I'm hoping that I've got them for the whole day, because then we'll try and film 2. But we'll see how long it takes the first one to do. You look forward to the banter. I look forward to the banter. Monaco at the ready. We love the interns. I love the interns as well. They are lovely, lovely interns. I've got to write down Chewie for tomorrow then. So even though it's more Necrons, it's all members here right now. You're voting. It's mainly members here right now. So you're voting. So I'll put up the Chewie versus Tau. No, Chewie's bringing Tau. I told him on camera, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. You know, like at the parent thing. Like, you were the chosen one, and now you're playing with Tau. But he loves the Tau. He loves the Tau. It's a completely different way of playing. This is someone asked me this. People ask me this all the time. Not all the time. But when I get asked this question, like, hey, I'm thinking of starting a second army. Here's some advice if you're still watching this VOD an hour and 10 minutes in, or if you're ever interested, anyone in the chat for the greater good. See? So people ask me, I'm thinking of starting a second army. What should it be? And the best answer to that I can figure out after my many, many years of wargaming is pick an army that is different to the one you have. So if you've got Space Marines, don't pick another Space Marine force. Or go with, if you've got Eldar, don't go with Harlequins. If you've got, pick something different. If you've got a really in-your-face, I'm chopping you up, World Eaters, Blood Angels, something like that army, then pick a shooty one. Pick one that is tank heavy. Pick Tau gun. Pick something different. There are many sides to this hobby and many different ways to play the game. And so if you're thinking about collecting a second army, pick an army that plays differently to the army that you have right now and explore that side. That's what I would say. So he's exploring his Tau side and he's exploring it hard. He's gone from the that's my impression of Chewie charging forward, to the staying back and, oh, look over there, I shall shoot you. Oh, look over there, I shall shoot you too. Oh, look over there. He's gone to that instead. He's gone into precision fire mode for the greater good and all that shenanigans. And he's loving it. He's finding a whole different side to his hobby right now. So I applaud him for that. But I'm not upset. I am disappointed. You know what I mean? Anything but Eldar. Exactly. What do you mean Chewie upgraded? Christian Kopang, I'm not sure it was an upgrade. If you've got Eldar, apologise. Thank you. Thank you. Craftworld Eldar in particular, by the way. The other ones we don't mind. Just the Craftworld Eldar are so stuck up. It's not just the rules right now. It's the stuck upness. It's nothing to do with the current state of the meta for me when it comes to Eldar. And I like the Dark Eldar. I like the Exodite stuff. I like the Harlequin stuff. All that stuff is fine. It's just that the Craftworld guys, they are so far up their own. Sorry, I have this drinking problem. I have 5 armies and barely play ever while planning AOS and praying for a Grey Knight refresh. No apologies for my dark kin. You don't, Ynnari, they're fine. It's the, it goes back to my teenage years and D&D and all that stuff. It's the Eldar thing. It's the elf thing. It's the high elf thing. Not the wood elf thing, the high elf thing. It's elven superiority is the thing. They think they're all great. And it goes into D&D and it comes through and da-da-da. And then the Craftworld ones, they think they're all great. But the dark kin are the true kin. They're the ones that, they're the true kin. They stayed on the path. They stayed doing the Slaaneshi things. Experimenting with different body parts, mainly other people's body parts, using a needle and a rotor saw. They did the nightclubs, combat drugs, all of those things. They're having a great time. They are unrepentant. Nothing wrong with them. And the lore for the Harlequins is old and deep and complex. Nothing wrong with them. And the Exodites as well. You can't, unless you're Cartman from South Park, unless you're Cartman, you can't punch a hippie, can you? Because they're generally quite nice people. They never wash, but they're generally quite nice people. And so the Exodite hippies, we haven't got a problem with them. But stuck up, snooty, my name is Eldar, blah, 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 Farseer of blah, 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 and I've seen the future, and if you don't do this, it's going to go horribly wrong. And, I mean, what do they know? They gave birth to a god. So, Ynnari are cool. Ynnari are they're like goth metal, right? They're like, hey, we're all going to die. Let's try and bring about the god of the dead before we die with the amount of dead that we make by either killing it or our stuff dying. We're going to die anyway, but we can kill Slaanesh before we all die. Let's go. They're metalheads. They're absolute metalheads. Yeah, slamming about in the front row. You wouldn't want to meet a bunch of the Ynnari in the mosh pit because that's where they hang out. I like the Ynnari. Hippies are the worst. Dickie. Hippies are... You couldn't eat a whole one, obviously. But, climbing trees. They never flush the toilet. Instead, scoop it out and put it on their grass-fed carrots or something. They recycle. You can't say hippies are the worst. It's not hippies are the worst. No. There are worse things out there than hippies. There are people who chew with their mouth open. It was a sexy god though, so we'll let them off. Yeah, but is it? It's not. It's a bit. You just started the path of the renegade. It's a great find. It's great to find a Dark Eldar book. Nice, man. Nice. I am about 6 hours from the end of the Death Volume 2 on Audible for the 3rd time. It's so much better the second time round. I just enjoy being in amongst it. There's some really key moments he brings back the Whisperheads. He talks about Jabal, and there's some hankering back, and Kinski does as well. So he goes back to the beginning at the very end, which is just gorgeous. I like those bits. there's a bit where the light shines for the first time and Malcador can see it, and he says, and the light is shining, and there's a world, across all of the infinities of worlds that ever exist. And there's one where these aliens look up. There was one where the dark was it was basically the opening line of the Bible, where there's the dark is formless on the deep, and nothing moved across the surface of the deep, or so. And then the light said, "I will be and is." I mean, that's just hats off time. And the light doesn't shine in this one place in this grim, dark future, where all learning has been reduced to rote, where the value of life has been ruined. And there's moments like that in the End and the Death Volume 2, which are just hair standing on back of neck moments. And I think the first time everyone's so keen to get to the end and find out all the bits and things that it's sometimes you miss the journey when you're just so keen to get to the end. So going through it again has been joyous. Yeah. The only thing worse than a hippie is a French Canadian. Are you French Canadian by any chance? They can't make up their minds if they're French or Canadians. Ben, that wasn't really a spoiler. I talked about a light thing across a thing, and I talked about callbacks. It's good, like good movies do it as well. Like at the end of the movie, they call back to something at the beginning of the movie. So there's a couple of points in the End and the Death Volume 2 where he calls back to the Whisperheads, and at the very end, just a paragraph here or a line there. There's these callbacks help encapsulate and enclose the whole story. Love them. Yeah. Serious question for you. Have you noticed any similarities between Paradise Lost and the story of the Emperor versus Horus? Yes, there are religious allegories all the way through the Solar War and the Heresy. The creators and writers draw from every source that inspires them, and many creators have been inspired by Paradise Lost. The dissolution of reality in the book and leaving us in the dark. See, the other thing about the End of the Death that Volume 2 does really well is, and this isn't a spoiler, but it's long and it leads us in the dark, and it leaves us in a broken reality, just as our characters in the book are left in the dark and in a broken reality, and leaving us there so close to the end. That mechanic, the fact that it does that, what I'm saying is some people thought it stretched a bit. Some people thought that, but I disagree. I think the weak part of the book, the fact that it stretched a bit, the fact that people want to get to the end, the fact that these weaknesses are what some people would say are its weaknesses, which I don't agree with, but I think these tones that it sets are part of its greatest strength. It puts us there too. It makes the journey painful and hard. And I like that. And it makes it long and difficult. And I like that. And I don't want it to end. Winters, with all the Primarchs slowly coming back, do you ever think we'll see the two missing Primarchs return? No, because I'm fairly convinced I know what happened to the two missing Primarchs. So we know that the Space Wolves were unleashed before. And we get this by more than one source in Prospero Burns and in Thousand Suns. So we know that the Emperor's executioners have been unleashed before, and they don't talk about it. That's one legion. Then in Angel Exterminatus, Perturabo talks about... Perturabo is talking to someone about coming before the Emperor. He's talking to Fulgrim. About coming before the Emperor to make his oath of moment before he leaves the Sol System. And he says that this is something that all the Primarchs did. And it was an occasion on Terra that before... Because the Emperor finds Lost Boy. Lost Boy comes back to Terra. hangs out, they get some training, Rocky montage, go, given an expeditionary fleet. All Primarchs got this except one, which is Angron. He was given his expeditionary fleet initially and went off straight away. But all the other Primarchs, and also Alpharius, but that's complicated and I don't want to spoil that, end up going back to Terra, and there's a moment, there's an Oath of Moment ceremony, and this is the Oath of Moment, and it's the oath they give to the Emperor before they go and take their expeditionary fleet across the stars. And Perturabe says that it's not, but that's what it is on the outside. What it is on the inside is really a psychic communion, which I passed, but he found it horrifying. He found it really difficult, and he said not all of us passed to Fulgrim. So one of the Lost Primarchs didn't pass the psychic communion with the Emperor. One of the Lost Primarchs in his legion were executed by the Space Wolves. So they can't come back. Unless one of the Lost Primarchs is prisoner, what number is it? Prisoner X, whatever, 2 in the dark cells that the Custodes have, that was dropped in one of those books. I forget which one. One of them might be still alive in the Emperor's Palace. So, do you think we will ever see the 2 missing Primarchs? We might see one of them, is my answer to that question. If the one below the Emperor's Palace is that one. But I know that a number of the authors have been asked, like ADB and Dan Abnett have both been asked, do you want to write about the missing Primarchs? And both of them have said no, because something should remain secret. Tiberius the Red Wake is definitely a Primarch. Oh dear. Anyway, is there an invisible chat going on? Is there? I don't know. But I've been banging on for an hour and 20 minutes. So this is your 2-minute warning, gentlemen and ladies. This is your 2-minute warning before I close this down. It's been fun. Thanks for chatting to me in the run towards Christmas. Thanks for sharing me your chocolate stories. But I'll leave you to it. And yeah, any more questions and things? Food tier list next week. I mean, yeah, we want to do a food tier list. Sure, we'll get in the Discord and get people whipped up about it and ask them if they actually want to do it and what would a food tier list look like. Thank you, Mick the Machine. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Liam. What would a food tier list look like? I mean, what are we talking about? But I need some ideas for that. So get in the Discord, stir up a bit of stuff, and we'll see if we can do that on the 26th. We'll do a food tier list, and I'll put the title food tier list. I mean, if you want it, let's do it. I'm happy to talk about food all day. I'm a food motivated mofo. Just joined the last minute. Guess what? Watch for replay. Thank you. Is this the right place to hear me talk about the end and the death? The last 10 minutes, Simon M. I'd hear me talking about the last. I didn't really talk about the end of the death until the last 10 minutes. About the end of the death, volume 2, accidentally on my wife's Kindle instead of mine. She deleted it straight away. I'm sorry to hear that you're getting a divorce. Dickie, before you disappear, educate us. Give an example of a 10-inch question for you and Chris. Give us an example of a 10-star question, 10-inch question, 10 question for you and Chris. I don't understand what that means. Oh, you mean in the STC? What would a 10 be? In the STC? You want me to give you a 10 question? A marks a 10 out of 10 question for an STC question? You come to my house? You want me? You talking to me? No, this is no, I don't know. You give me the questions for the STC. That's how that works. It's a one way. It comes this way. The spice must flow from you to I, not the other way around. We can't close the loop. We can't cross the streams. We know how that ends. It would be death and destruction for the whole universe if that happens. No. I deny you. You, Dickie, you give me an answer, an idea of a mark, a 10 out of 10. You go to the STC, you put in a question, and we'll see what score you get. And you can put in your question for the SDC question, please rate my question. And here is my question. And not only will I answer your question, but I will rate your question too. And we can track your progress over time to see whether it goes towards 10 or down. Or whether it just plateaus like a duck speeding along a frozen pond after coming into a landing. Just zzz, and all the other ducks are laughing. We'll see. Do you have 10,000 point new army in 1 month planned for 2024? What? I ended up doing 10,000 points of basically 10,000 points of Necrons. I've got over 10,000 points of Necrons now. Well, it was in 9th, so it's probably about 3,000 points now in this edition. Next year, it's going to be the Iron Hands for Heresy. It is a question. It's a reverse switch. I see you trying to be smart. But no, please, ask your questions away in the STC. I think what we'll do is discover together what a 10 out of 10 question is in the SDC. And when that day arrives, that'll probably be, I mean, we'll have reached the peak of the mountain. But, even if we reach the peak, the tippity top will only be halfway up. There will still be some more mountain to climb. Mick, I answered that one in the last one. Go and have a look at the last one. So thank you all for joining me. Have a happy Christmas. Should squats be added to the heresy? I think there is room to add to the heresy. I think there is room to add aliens into the heresy. I think there's room to expand that game system. Yes, I think. How and what? I've got ideas on how and why, but we're at the end of the stream, and that's one you could ask me next time. Good. Nice to hear you started new armors things. Yes. In the last one, Mick. It was in the last one. With the State of the 13th. I'm sure I answered that in the last one. We're in a holding pattern, basically. We're being calm. We're in a holding pattern. They've gone through a lot of stuff recently. So we're in a holding pattern at this time and trying not to upset too many people. That's where we are with them. They appear every now and then, do some things, but not much at this time. They've lost Snow. They're in mourning. He was a key part of them for the last 160 years. So they're staying very, very quiet. Squats and Heresy with a name like Epic Votan sounds like it's a loaded question. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming by. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, following, and things like that. Thank you for helping me do this. This is just, it blows me away. It blows me away. I appreciate you. Have a happy Heresy Day, and I will see you on the 26th. May you get all the plastic crack that you want, need, desire. And happy wargaming.